Welcome to today's Explainer. Most realtors get this wrong about investors, and honestly, it's costing them some serious relationships and capital. Today, we're getting right to the core of this massive misconception about what investors actually want. Once you understand how the smartest capital is truly being deployed, it's going to completely transform the way you approach your business. Okay, let's dive into this. The absolute biggest myth out there is the assumption that investors are just these relentless bargain hunters, endlessly scouring the MLS for rock-bottom prices, right? We've all heard that. But the reality is way more sophisticated. The best investors aren't simply chasing the cheapest possible property. They are buying based on market fundamentals. They're looking for an environment that actively supports long-term wealth creation. It's never just about a cheap house. It's about that perfect combination of cash flow, appreciation, and underlying economic growth.
And this brings us to a really critical distinction. So many realtors spend their time acting like a magnifying glass, They zoom in, pointing out the nice kitchen countertops, the size of the backyard, all the physical quirks of a single house. But the most successful realtors, they use a telescope. They understand the market behind the property. When a savvy investor evaluates an opportunity, they are looking through a totally different lens than your traditional homebuyer. A homebuyer wants a physical space to live in, but an investor, they're looking at the entire economic engine surrounding that space.
To really get this, we have to put ourselves directly in the investor's shoes. Before they even care about the square footage or if the roof needs replacing, they're asking fundamental data-driven questions. Will rents remain strong? And is the population growing? These are absolute, non-negotiable prerequisites. Think about it. An investor intrinsically knows that a cheap house in a town with a shrinking population is just a bad investment. They literally need to see a growing base of potential renters to make sure their asset performs year after year.
Let's move to and see how this builds, because that evaluation definitely doesn't stop at population. The investor is rapid-firing a sequence of critical questions right from the jump. Are jobs moving in? Because, as we know, job growth is the primary driver of housing demand. Then they dig right into the financial mechanics. Can I generate cash flow right now, and will this appreciate over time? These are the ultimate metrics of long-term wealth creation. If a market can't answer yes to these questions, the specific price tag on a property just doesn't matter. Now here's the massive dilemma investors face pretty much everywhere. In a lot of markets, they are forced into this incredibly frustrating compromise. It's like a constant tug of war. In high-priced, major metropolitan areas, generating positive monthly cash flow is incredibly difficult, even if long-term appreciation is a safe bet. On the flip side, cheaper markets might offer fantastic day-one cash flow, but that long-term appreciation, it's severely limited. It forces investors to choose one wealth-building mechanism over the other, which nobody really wants to do.
But there are rare exceptions, and this is exactly why capital flocks to specific standout markets. Indianapolis is a premier example of this. It offers a balance of cash flow and appreciation. It successfully defies that traditional investor dilemma we were just talking about. Investors don't want to compromise if they don't have to. And honestly, markets like Indianapolis allow them to confidently check both of those crucial boxes without sacrificing one for the other.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the exact recipe that makes Indianapolis such a powerful magnet for investment capital from across the entire country. We're talking about strong population growth, feeding consistent rental demand, alongside a beautifully diverse employment base. That means the market isn't just relying on one volatile industry. Combine that with affordable acquisition costs and a highly business-friendly environment, and you've got the perfect storm. This is the exact setup Series Capital is hunting for.
All of those factors fall under one crucial definition: market fundamentals. We're talking about long-term performance drivers. What's absolutely fascinating, based on data from Neu Real Estate Group, who are in the trenches working with investors every single day, is that successful investors never chase real estate fads. They aren't trying to time a speculative bubble. They strictly follow these stable underlying fundamentals. That's what makes cities like Indianapolis one of the most uniquely attractive investment markets in the Midwest.
So how do realtors actually apply this? Well, understanding this shift is your ticket to leveling up your business. It's a clear four-step progression. Step 1, understand your investors' true needs. They want economic viability, not just cheap drywall. Step 2, provide significantly more value based on that understanding. Step 3, have better, much more strategic conversations. And Step 4, help your clients make highly informed decisions. You stop selling the physical structure and you start guiding them through the opportunity the broader market creates.
So, the crucial point is this: if you are working with investors right now, or if your goal is to start working with them, you absolutely must remember this. They're not simply buying properties, they're buying markets.
This completely reframes the entire relationship. You aren't just a tour guide driving around unlocking doors, you are an essential advisor on market viability. And that is exactly why a fundamentally strong market like Indianapolis remains so firmly on the radar of serious investors nationwide.
If you want to dive deeper into these concepts, the team providing the deep market insights for today's explainer is Neu Real Estate Group. They are out there successfully navigating these exact market fundamentals with investors every single day. Connect with Neu Real Estate Group to learn more about current investment opportunities and to get a much stronger grasp on the data driving these decisions. They are all about building communities and elevating lives through smart, fundamentally driven real estate.
I want to leave you with a final, provocative thought to really chew on as we wrap up this explainer. Ask yourself, are you selling houses or are you selling opportunities? If you want to succeed with investors, you have to realize that the house is just the vehicle. The opportunity provided by the market's fundamentals is what they are actually paying for. Master the market, and you will completely change the way you do business.